All right. It is indeed a very, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is the 5th of February, 5th of March 2023. Ni tano mwezi wa tatu mwaka 2023. Good evening to you. I hope you're really doing well. This is Men Only. Men Only comes to you every single Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Inaanza saa 2 jioni hadi saa 4 ya usiku. Asante sana for joining us. When you join, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And that like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a space for men, and we keep saying it is men only. Men only. Tafadhali wamama, kama mmemaliza kuserve chai, tuondokeni wanaume. Mimi nikikaa kidogo hapa nimetulia, mnaniandikia messages, mnaniambia tio hiyo na nini mnasema. Hapana. Wamama, kama huko hapo umekuja kuiba siri ya wanaume, unanyamaza. Unaona pole alafu usemi maneno mengi. Nimeona Kabon Sara amesema wacha atoroke mapema ameenda, lakini at least pea wageni chai alafu uweze kuondoka. Tuko na Jacob alie, tunangoja nani tunangoja Silas Nyantuani, alikuwa ameenda mahali kwenda kuangalia mambo ya vijana na kututafutia topics zingine za next week. He should be on his way shortly. So we're going to start, and we want to speak about two things. One of them is, can women mentor young men? And this is in reference to what we've been saying women in leadership doing. We saw the deputy president's wife, Dorcas Rigathi, was doing both child empowerment forums. Yes. And the big question is, can women mentor young men? The second one is, why do good men or nice men finish last? Why do you finish last, you good man, nice man? Why do you guys finish last? You sing a story about Jordan B.
Michael B. Jordan.
Tasikia story yake. Wadani hoja tuwana nana meza kuingia hapa. Wamama wamesema hawami hata kidogo. Jose Mkayami, I'm very impressive. Asante sana. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, brother. First us road to Moi Fire. Asante Harry Hudson. As long last we have our own. Good job, Gerald Bitok. Asante sana Harry. Newton Ivers Mutai. Wacha zako wana Bitok. Tuko hapa. Hii ni wanaume. Lorraine Moyala anasema I'm here to stay. Lorraine. Anyway, good evening, Silas.
Jacob. Yes, good evening.
Jacob,
good evening, Gerald.
The last name on my lips was
Silas. That's okay. Yeah. So I've just traveled from Western Kenya and Kisumu. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the road is good, very busy. It seems guys have traveled those sides, many people over the weekend now that it was end month, and the people also go to Naivasha for the weekend. So the roads are pretty busy.
Sherehe ya Vasha.
Lazima sherehe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How was your weekend been like?
Very good, but busy. Kwa na matanga kidogo. Lakini sasa imerudi, asante sana. Ready to tackle the topic of the day.
Yes. Right. I think we start off with women and young men. And I think I've posed a question here, and I've also specified that it should be men only. So I hope I'm not going to see women replying there.
Yes.
I've made a post just shortly, and I asked, can women mentor young men? That was all my comments that it helped us to shape. Yes. Nick Anderson said, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, Nick Anderson. Laibon Aron said, not possible. Men don't trust women, and it's a sin as downgrade to men. So we men with our ego, we love working out ourselves devoid of women's support unless a mother. Lamek Tarus, every man needs a woman when his life is a mess, because just like in a game of chess, the queen protects the king. Okay? Adam Kimayo says, yes. Robinson says, most definitely. Kalim's Kolo, yes. Teachers Kwanza. Pios Kibiwa Sema, yes. Why not? Kolo, yes. Women can't mentor young men. That is Prince Pinches. McBone Kennedy Corey says, maybe at a certain point. Oseki Mutai, the word women is too big. Talk of old age women. Okay, Kilache Junior, not in this generation. Lord Senior Sige, yes, I'm living testimony hapa Kilimani, naishi na mama. Asa ndio wale tuko naita Kanuthias. Can live a trend, a woman of what age? Some can, but most can ruin everything, especially when it comes to inside their kids to aid their father. Frankie, never ever. Women are emotional by default, and they raise weak men. Kababas, Pinchy says, ask them. All right. Women, of course, will say yes. Tessie says yes. But this is men only, like we said. Okay. Lakini na mama anasikia kusema men only. Waitisha anasema never. Edwin Makona anasema when even your mom is a woman, the answer is yes. Stand last and never. Fantastic. Is Made or Aria a joke to you? Ibrahim Mumin, the Oxford Dictionary definition of a mentor is an experienced trusted advisor. Bearing that in mind, then do we have experienced women? Do we have trusted women? Your answer lies therein. Haya, I think we go straight into it. Nick Anderson anasema never a fellow man calls out manhood out of another man. There are many examples of men who are fallen by women. All right. Are you ready to take the bull by the horns?
Yes, and I'm glad some women are already tuning in. So in my next...
Women never follow instructions. Okay.
Yes, Unplugged too. Part of this topic of parenting and mentoring young men is one of the things that I'm going to tackle. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at this subject, one thing that I want to start off by saying is that the governing emotion of a woman as a parent is fear and anxiety. Yes, so the governing emotion of a woman as a parent is fear and anxiety. That is the first thing that both men and women need to realize. And what happens when a woman is governed by fear and emotion, when she looks at her son, or when she looks at a young boy, she wants to coddle him. Okay. Coddling basically means hugging him, bringing him close emotionally, and protecting him from her own anxiety. Because, by the way, the anxiety that the woman feels, it is not necessarily real. It's just anxiety that arises from her own psychological makeup. Because her fear is harm coming to the boy. But the father, being a man who has traveled the path of manhood, knows that the fear, actually, it does not relate to the fear that the mother feels. Many times, like when a father is throwing the child up and the child is giggling, you'll find that the mother is telling, oh no, she's afraid that the child will fall. The child is giggling because the child, of course, is not aware of the danger. Maybe he's not afraid of height. And he's also feeding off the energy that the father is giving when the father is throwing him up. So that's the first thing that people need to understand. And when you're talking about a woman mentoring men, part of it also is the programming that we are now undergoing as humanity. And this programming is the dumbing down or the diminishing of the male instinct, the masculine instinct, the masculine power, and so on, and making the masculine feel like it is something that even the feminine can manage and navigate and mold and so on. But now that we're in a situation where many women themselves, even the women who are watching this show right now, most of them, either you'll find that they are troubled either by having a weak son or a weak husband or a weak brother, and they are seeking solutions on how they can assist these men in their lives. And most of those women, actually, they follow me on Facebook, they chat with me, they've bought my book Unplugged, and they're trying to look for a solution. How can we help these brothers? So one thing that people need to realize, if you have a situation where you have a woman standing in front of young men and telling them what being a man is, it means that this woman is placing herself in a position of authority about how a man is supposed to conduct himself, how a man is supposed to conduct his own affairs. What it does is it conditions these young men who are listening to her, it conditions them to be comfortable with having a woman in a position of authority. When you have a woman in a position of authority, what happens is that it gives us a situation now we are having in, particularly I've heard of cases in Great Wall Estate in Syokimau, where you have a young man, not necessarily a young man, even a mature man who is in his 40s. This guy is sitting at home, and his wife is one who is lifting up the burden of performance. She's the one working, she's the one paying rent, she's the one who is paying school fees, she's the one paying the bills, and the guy is sitting at home, maybe playing PS4 or just watching the TV. Yes. So that is a man who is comfortable with being taken care of by a woman. So that is one of the dangers that we're actually exposing our young men to. When a man is comfortable with sitting back and a woman solving his problems, then you'll have these situations of men at home just sitting around and letting the woman actually solve the problems. And I said earlier, women want men who can solve their problems. Any man who cannot solve his own problems and the problems of a woman is a man who is not going to be attractive. The first problem that women want men to solve for them is a problem of provision. When a woman has children, she wants a man who can provide food for the children. She wants a man who can provide shelter for the children. Those are problems that actually bother women a lot. When a woman is pregnant, she is concerned about, what will my child eat? Where will me and my child sleep? Who is going to protect me and my child from danger? And those are the problems that a man comes in her life to solve. So if you're going to have a situation where a woman is mentoring men, then you are having a situation where you are telling guys that if you can't solve problems, a woman can solve them for you. And that is going to actually give us a breed of several weak men in the society. And this is something that we need to actually discourage and avoid. The second thing is that because a woman is governed by fear and anxiety, particularly as a parent, the children who are brought up by such a woman, that means now a woman is the one guiding and molding a man's masculinity. Such a man is averse to risk. Okay? Because the mother is going to not allow him, for example, to go outside when it is dark or to play certain games because she's going to feel that those games are too risky. Yes. Vaa sweater, have you eaten? Nini mekufanya? Maybe if she sees that he has a small scratch, she's going to rush, get some Vaseline and some bandage, you know, like the boy is not even hurt. But a man knows that that's not a big deal. But a woman, because she's governed by emotion, she's going to raise a man who is very afraid because he inherits the fear and anxiety of his mother. Such a man is not able to take risk. But you see, for a man, for you to win, you have to take risks. You have to challenge yourself. You have to challenge the environment. You have to be able to change your circumstances. You have to be able to go outside your comfort zone. That requires a man who can actually take risk. And I think it's because men recognized that women's psychological makeup or constitution is not good for raising a boy. That is why in the past, particularly in the African societies, the boys were taken away from their mothers just before they reached teenage. And now they were told to spend time with men. They were even, we have even societies like among the Kikuyus, the man of the home and the sons, they used to sit together. I think it is called a tingira or something, in the middle of the home. You don't sit with your mothers because you need to learn the ways of men. And the ways of men are very, very different. The ways of men and the path of a man is littered with adversity. Men realize and recognize the importance of adversity in terms of making you tough, and the way adversity is what puts the sand in the gizzard of a man. Without adversity, you're not going to have a strong man. But the woman's constitution actually is to protect the son and the boy from adversity, which means actually it's what actually kills masculinity in a man. So it's very, very important that as a society, we need to learn or be able to communicate to the women to be able to step back and let the men raise the boys. It's very, very important because very few women can actually understand the ways of men. And that's why you find that in Hollywood, for example, you will see, if you watch Wonder Woman, for example, Wonder Woman is acted by a very beautiful woman, but she's not muscular. But you see, as much as she's not muscular, she's still strong. It means that these people who are producing this movie, they are passing the idea that you can be strong without working out. It's not possible. You have to build muscles. You have to be muscular for you to be strong. And those are some of the messages that you will find that a woman is going to pass to a man. Like you can be successful without failing. You can be strong without working out, without facing adversity. There is this author who wrote a book called Dante. Dante wrote a book called Dante's Inferno. And it says that the path to heaven begins in hell. What that basically means is that first you have to fail and go through a lot of trial and tribulation before you can actually succeed. And even in the Bible, you see Jesus has to die before he can become Christ. That is what manhood is. If you find a situation where maybe Jesus only had a mother and no father, the mother will have stopped him from dying. But you see, the situation is such that a man must actually go through adversity in order for him to realize his higher self. That is the way to manhood. You see the beauty, for example, with women preserve their beauty because women are born with beauty. And so the success of a woman is actually relying on preservation. And that is what they transfer then to the men. They want to protect him. But a man has to be calm. He has to be broken down and rebuilt. That's how he becomes a man. So those are some of the basics that women may not be understand and may not make them fit to mentor men.
All right. So are you saying that it's 100% that women cannot mentor men, or women, or how do we differentiate this between actually women raising men and women mentoring men? Do you have a difference between the two?
That's a good question.
Yes, yeah.
A woman can nurture a man, but during his early days, like when he needs nutrition, when he needs to feel the motherly love and so on. But it is such that the demands of life as a man requires you to step away from that environment, so that you are able to start standing on your own. You see, what a man is, what the society requires of a man is that he must be able to stand alone. A man must be able to learn to stand alone, so that he can be able to fight back the effects of peer pressure, so that he can stand on his own principles, so that he can become his own man. Because a man who, for example, you know about mama's boys, for example. Yeah. We have these young men who stay for very long with their mothers into their 20s and even 30s. And women really have a challenge with this case, because you'll find you're in a romantic relationship with such a man, and maybe you feel that you need to get married. The lady's biological clock is ticking. But this man is saying now, my mama has not given me the permission to actually go ahead and get married. Now that's what we call mama's boy. That's a man who has not learned to stand alone.
They have a problem with making decisions.
Yes, he has a problem with making decisions. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, the anxiety and the fear that he inherits from his mother. He lacks self-confidence. And also a man who lacks self-confidence is a man who cannot be a leader. Because if such men are put in positions of leadership and a decision needs to be made, he needs to consult with the people he's supposed to lead. And it's because he learned from his mother that validation is important. If you look at the way a mother interacts with the son, she looks for a lot of validation from him. She needs to consult him when they need to have a meal. She needs to make sure that he is happy, and his happiness is what validates her. So actually, as much as she's parenting, she's trying to validate herself, as opposed to giving this young man the nutrition that he needs to actually become strong and independent. So just to go back to your question, the difference between parenting and mentoring, it is actually the same thing. Because when you parent, the child or the boy or the young man is looking at you as an authority figure. You are like a mentor. You are like someone that he needs to emulate. So if he's being mentored by a woman about aspects of masculinity, he's just actually going to see the way she's conducting herself, the way she's speaking, that kind of voice, the tonality, the way even the way the body language that a woman uses, they are very different from the body language of a man, in terms of how she regulates her tone, in terms of how she responds to questions, to challenges, to issues, and so on. So what is going to happen if you allow a woman to mentor young men? She's going to end up womanizing them. Okay? They're going to get womanized because, for example, he's going to learn that, for example, if someone calls you fat, instead of watching your diet and working out, you instead tell that person that they're body shaming you. That is not how men deal with issues. If a man is told that he's broke, he's supposed to work hard and make money. He's not going to turn around and tell that person, you're shaming me, and so on. Because that is how men are able to take up challenges and become better men. So you don't use manipulation and what we call sign language to protect yourself from your own defects. Men are supposed to be forthright. Men are supposed to be people who can own up to their own weaknesses. That's why when a man has a kitambi, he's told, people joke about it, I have a dad board, I have a one pack and things like that. But they don't tell you, but now you're body shaming me and so on. Because for the men, it's
but if
on
you
you.
Tell a woman ukona kitambi,
if you tell a woman that one is body shaming, you're being toxic and all that. They call it, they talk about microaggression and things like that. So those are some of the things that a man may end up learning from a woman. And if you have those things, men are also talking about body shaming, and now people stop working out and becoming strong, because strength is a very important part of masculinity. You cannot afford to protect yourself from being body shamed, and yet you are supposed to. You see, for example, women slut shame each other a lot. because women know that and that's one of the ways that women take advantage or gain advantage in the sexual marketplace by slut shaming their competition. But if a man actually calls a woman that word, then the man is called toxic. So even men, and one of the things that you learn actually from when you're growing up as a man, and which now we're also getting now, and I think now this has brought me back to the topic. We have a lot of women who are now raising our boys in school. Most of the teachers in the lower primary school are women. And what you'll find is that they discourage the young boys from competition. They tell them, don't do that. How do you think it's making so and so feel? You see, it's beating back the masculine instinct to dominate and compete. And now these young men, they grow up not knowing how to assert themselves. Because from the time they are young, they have these female teachers telling them to ignore their masculine instincts, to fight, to compete, to dominate, and so on. And that's why you find that you have these young men who are very weak. They cannot apply themselves. They go for an interview, they fail, they give up. Because they never learned that you need to try again and again and again. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right, let's look at the comments. Just impressive. Let me say, just have some more fire. At long last, we have our own. Good job, Asante Sana. Adi Adson, Newton, Navas Mutai. Okay, I think I have seen that. Victor K. Tum, we are here, we must be hard. Thanks, Gerald. Asante Sana. Paul Kibiego, good evening to you, sir. Well done, B. Anasema tuko tune kuresoi baridi mingi kipande hii. Poleni sana. TR Paul K. Simon, Wayaki Wainga here, falling from Kabete. Asante. Levis Cheworei, good evening. Good people, we are losing men due to much presence of women in boys' life. Okay. Badiak Yego, good to see you, bro. Long time. Morning, bro. Following in Tinderet, Nandi County. Asante Jairas, Kimniatij Mavuta. Very inspiring show. Good job, sir. Thank you. Jack Sparrow Mitch. Good job, Asante. Code King. Aba nimechelewa. Ujachelewa. Umeingia wakati wake. Please share. Flendi Scrubs and Beyond. Tuned in from Kitui. Watu wa Kitui. Mambo vipi? Wamui Mukumbe. Good to see you. Good evening. And actually, I'm finding it actually surprising. A lot of women are following. I've seen a lot of inboxes from women. And they're saying, please bring these conversations to churches. I think we have an invite from a church that was shared. We'll have a conversation with them. But I think the raising of men and young boys is becoming a serious crisis. And it looks like it's going to be the crisis of this generation, as it is. I think every generation has had its own disaster. The biggest disaster for this generation would be raising men. Getting really properly seasoned men. Haya, Sigei, well done. Tuned in from Kabarnet tuko pamoja. Asante. Odia anasema I'm a product because of my late sister Jessie who mentored me. Meshira pe. Asante, pole sana na walale mahali pema peponi. Harry Atson following kindly. Asante. SK Mwigei, it takes a man to make a man. Code King, kindly leave contacts for buying Unplugged. What was the number again?
0716 701
716-701
159.
Okay, I thought is it you can talk to Jacob. Kuchapie rakaraka upate kopi yako. Okay. Dennis Oseko, is this live? Yes, we are live. God game, the guy pours truth after truth. Moses Gegita, Gerald Bitok nimechelewa but imefika. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you. Deno Kasi tuned in Upper LD. Also talk about alcohol. It's taking away most of our brothers. Winston Kipro following closely. Good work here. Asante sana. Kaji, that's one awesome lessons from Jacob. Kipiagon Enge teach inspirational and informative topic. Asante. God game, women can be manipulative. Hard to find a manipulative man. Okay. VK Manyakir, allow me to join you later. Okay, sawa. Kim Gerald, continue addressing our ladies. You got evidence on what you're doing on BBC is coming for soon at the BBC. Okay. Robin San, a man is a man. The principles of men are documented in Unplugged. Ban Kemuge, good evening, Gerald Bitok, following from Eldoret. Asante sana. And I said, good for deadbeats. Lorraine Moyale, the choice of whom to mentor has always included gender as one of the major considerations. All through is this. Dennis Oseko, man adversity can only be taught by men themselves. Very informative. Asante sana. We need strong men to mentor boys to become stronger men. All right. We pick up on the issue of alcoholism. It's actually a crisis, and one of the ways to unplug is stopping abuse of drugs, and especially alcohol. Men and alcohol. At what point do we draw the line between entertainment and addiction?
So we have different
men perishing actually in alcohol. What is the relation?
Yeah, alcohol is actually killing a lot of men, and one of the things that guys need to know is that unfortunately, the people who are actually suffering the most are men who don't know when to stop. There are many of men who drink alcohol, but they don't know when to stop. Of course, the thing is also happening with women. There are many people who have learned that maybe if you take 2 bottles, that is enough. There are people who don't know when to actually stop. And I was even recently in a situation where we had a meeting as men and there was some alcohol, but one of us became so drunk, he actually ended up diminishing the value that we could have got from that meeting. So it's unfortunate that we have men who don't know how much they should take. So that is the biggest challenge. But otherwise, drinking alcohol within control is not a problem. But still, many men who also take alcohol, it's important to know why you're taking the alcohol, because many people also take alcohol to mask some mood disorders or anxiety. Many guys, when they take alcohol, then they feel relaxed. They're able to open up. They're able to enjoy the music. They're able to enjoy the conversation. They're able to enjoy themselves, so to speak. So that is normally a sign of an underlying psychological issue. So it's very important to remember that, so that you usually need to take up a certain substance to be able to enjoy yourself or to relax. Mm-hmm. The second thing is most people take alcohol as a form of recreation. The challenge is that alcohol, when people take alcohol, the reason you feel high or happy, there's some dopamine that is released. Mm. So you get some dopamine rush. Now, what happens is that what it does, it numbs you. It numbs you. For many men, it stops them from chasing success because their hunger is reduced. And if they have a problem that they need to address, maybe they are just broke, or maybe they have a problem with their wife, when they drink alcohol, they feel sedated. So that sort of sedation, it makes many men fail to address the problems that they need to address. And most cases, and if you look at the cases where many men either commit suicide or they kill their wives and children, you'll find in most cases they're actually intoxicated. So alcohol actually impairs people's judgment. So all these things guys need to bear in mind. And particularly for guys, I talk about, when you're talking about financial success, many guys who believe that they cannot party without alcohol, many of them spend a lot of money on alcohol. Like you can find a guy, he's probably living in a rental house, or he's struggling with even paying a certain loan, maybe a car loan. But you'll find he's spending, he buys 2 Glenfiddich in one weekend outing, like on Friday, and he buys on Saturday. That's a lot of money that you can actually use to finance a mortgage and improve your standard of life. So the first thing guys need to remember, you need to control your intake. And the second thing guys need to remember, you also need to prioritize what is the most important thing in your life. Is it alcohol or is it something else? Because many people spend so much time and money on alcohol, and when they reach their 50s, when they look back, they realize they wasted so much time just drinking alcohol and spending time with friends. I have so many guys who have, when they read Unplugged, they were able to turn their lives around just because they stopped wasting time with friends, just drinking alcohol on the sherehes, and now diverting that money onto something else and spending that time doing something productive. So that is one of the things I talk about in Unplugged. And lastly, one of the things that you get from weak masculinity, one of the features of this is actually men who consume alcohol as a way actually to deal with problems, okay? And of course, most of the times it ends up disastrously. The problem normally actually is magnified, or someone ends up doing something silly. They either end up in road accidents because you drink so hard, you are alone, and you're leaving the club very late at night. I have so many guys going through difficult times in their marriages. They end up in a road accident. Some lose their lives. Some, their car is written off. Some end up being maimed and so on. So it is something that guys need to think about. And in many cases, I know, for example, a place in Langata. There was a time I had a young man that I was mentoring, and he was becoming very slippery. When I went to look for him where he was living, I was told where to find him. And I found a den of several young men, very emaciated, drinking cheap liquor. So many young men are actually losing their potential to alcohol, just like that. Yeah, so it's something that guys need to think about.
But also, you see, there are things that go in hand in hand most of the time with men: football, and maybe alcohol, and some kind of machoma mali. I mean, you will never run away from the fact that some men will still find themselves around alcohol in their socialization, in their chilling out and all that. They'll find that is how they can socialize and have alcohol. Now, is there a way we can talk about responsible drinking? You know, that yes, you can have a good time, you can have a drink if you want to. Is it possible to actually have a restrained, responsible drinking? Are there people who have actually managed alcohol?
There are actually many people who manage alcohol, even as we speak. They manage it very well. It doesn't really impact on their performance or their competence. So that happens. Unfortunately, in most cases, I've actually been told that I spoke to a friend of mine who is a doctor. He told me that we as individuals, we have people who have what we call addictive personalities. You see, for example, something like pornography. So pornography, someone can look at it, maybe the first time you see it, it looks very interesting, but you quickly get bored. But there are people who get addicted to pornography. There are people who get addicted to playing games. And in the same way, there are people who get addicted to alcohol. So you also need to be able to understand your personality. That is very, very important, because when you don't have addictive personalities, then you'll be able to find that you can control your alcohol intake. Alcohol will not control you. So that happens. Unfortunately, we are not the same. Some people are addictive, others are not addictive. Some people use alcohol as a crutch to deal with the psychological problem like mood disorders and anxiety. Some people use it for recreation. So it's very difficult to draw the line. But in general, if you can keep away from it, you keep away from it. If you can drink responsibly, that is also fine. Because I think throughout the existence of man, people even say that Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. So the human beings have socialized in such a way that alcohol is used as a form of celebratory material. It helps people to gel and bind together and so on. But what I tell men is that you need to live a life that is examined. Examine your life, be very self-aware, and at the end of the day, you know it is your life. If you think alcohol is harming you, you need to stop taking it. If it is not doing any harm to you and you find benefit in taking it, like socializing, then that is also okay.
Okay, that's it for you. If you can manage it, but if you cannot, please stay away from it. Don't let it destroy you. And I think one of the signs of a weak person is letting substance take over, like control you.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's what you, as a man, you need to find a way that you can stand against your substances, the things that you choose to partake of. All right, let's go straight into also one of the topics of the day. Why nice guys, why nice men finish last? Why nice men finish last? I think first of all, you need to start by defining that who is a nice man? Who is this nice man that you're talking about?
Yeah, so a nice man.
And how do they finish last?
A nice man, I think a very good example that we had mentioned earlier is Michael B. Jordan, the guy who acted Wakanda. He was the antagonist in that movie where he actually challenged the king to a duel, and he did pretty well. I don't know, somehow it's just that the king had to win the duel. So he had a relationship with Lori Harvey, who is the daughter of Steve Harvey. And when they started going out, many people in Hollywood, they really felt that it was not a good thing for him, because Michael B. Jordan is known as a very nice, forthright, clean guy. Clean in the sense that he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't engage in crazy things and so on. But Lori Harvey, for example, had gone out with Future, he had gone with Puff Daddy's son. He had run around so many actors, and people were actually referring to her as a slut in many circles. So when Michael B. Jordan went out with her, people felt that he was actually not doing himself a favor. And eventually, Lori Harvey broke up with him. And one of the reasons people say that she broke up with him is because he was a nice guy. So people normally say that nice guys finish last. And a nice guy, by definition, is is someone who does not put himself first. So, for example, when he has a girlfriend, he doesn't tell her we are going here. He asks her, where would you like us to go? Because he wants to defer to her, and he lacks confidence. He is not confident that he can lead her. He is not confident that she will follow his lead. So he seeks to, first of all, get her agreement or her compliance before he makes a move. The thing with nice men is that many women like a challenge. They want a man who is going to challenge them. And when you are a man who is challenging her, that is when she feels that you have a higher value than her in terms now of hypergamy. So that is very, very important. Many guys, we say that nice guys finish last because they don't arouse women. Nice guys, many times, they are attractive to women because they can provide parental investment. They can provide them with resources. And that's what we call beta male provisioners. They are good as beta male provisioners. And beta male provisioners are men who actually provide resources to women, but not necessarily seeds to women. When you're talking about hypergamy, we normally talk about what we call the alpha seed and the beta need. So women need alpha seeds. That means they want to get children of alphas. They feel that alphas have the genetic material that they want to propagate. But they need betas to raise the children. So that's what we call alpha seed and beta need. And that is how hypergamy works. It's a dualistic mating strategy. So nice guys don't challenge women, and many women initially they're attracted to them, but they quickly get bored with them because women like a challenge. They want a man who will fire up the anxiety. You know, I told you earlier that the female emotion, the dominant emotion, is anxiety. A nice guy calms anxiety, but calm is not exciting to women. It's boring. Women get bored very fast. That is why you'll find many young men being told, you need to take your wife out. You need to be romantic, because taking her out is a way of introducing spice to the relationship. You're removing her from the monotony of being at home or being in the same place. You're taking her to a new environment. So women like that kind of excitement. That is what actually fires up their arousal. So nice guys, on the other hand, are going to become the same. They don't bring any challenge. They don't say no. If she says, let's do this, the guy is going to say yes, and so on and so forth. So when you say nice guys finish last, most women will keep a nice guy, but they are going to end up having sex with the bad boys, because the bad boys are what arouse them. But the nice guy is attractive, but he does not create arousal in them. So that is one thing that makes women actually go for bad guys.
Okay, so women want bad guys.
Women are aroused by bad guys, but they do not want them. And in many cases, they actually regret once, because the bad boys also, they have this feature we call offspring abandonment. Once they make you pregnant, they'll tell you that child is not theirs, and they'll move on to the next.
What are the betas now?
No, they're not betas. That is an alpha feature.
That's an alpha.
Yeah, that's an alpha. An alpha is going to make you pregnant and tell you that child is not his. You know, being an alpha, you can be a noble alpha, you can also be a bad guy. And being bad also...
It's not possible to be just a nice, good alpha. Why do you, for instance, run away from... Do you mean alphas run away from responsibility?
That's a very good question. Can you be a good alpha? Most alphas are bad people. Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example of Spider-Man and Batman. You see, if you look at the story of Spider-Man, he's a superhero. And he's fighting bad guys. So he has this the laser beams in his eyes, and he's flying like a bird. He's very strong. He can throw away vehicles and so on. So then Spider-Man meets Lois Lane. Lois Lane is a very beautiful lady. I think she works in a news agency. And Superman falls in love with her. Once he falls in love with her, over time, when they start this romantic relationship, She tells him, when he gets the feeling that some people are attacked at night and he has to leave her in bed to go out to fight the bad guys. She tells him, I don't like these cold nights. Why do you have to fight all these bad guys? Me, I want you to spend time with me. So he decides now to become a normal person and he becomes Clark Kent. So once he becomes Clark Kent, he gets an ordinary job and so on. Then Lois Lane, she now finds him boring. She finds him boring and now she wants Batman. Batman is this dark guy who is a vigilante. And even if you look at, for example, the Iron Man. Iron Man is a good example of an alpha in the Avengers series. An alpha normally does what he wants. Many times he has money because he works hard. He's a dominant guy. He's competent. But he goes against the law. And he wants to impose his will. That's what most alphas do. You can also have a nice alpha. Because, for example, we normally say, there's a guy who wrote a book called The Alpha God. He looks at God as an alpha, the God of the Bible. If you look at the God of the Bible, this guy promises Abraham to have so many descendants. He promises him land and so on. But see what God does. Anyone who goes against Abraham, he kills those people. The Egyptians who imprisoned these people, he drowned them in the Red Sea. So there is no way you're going to become an alpha and be nice, because people will come against you. People will challenge you. And if you're not able to apply some force when you're challenged, then you're not going to be alpha, because that means you're going to step back. You're going to look for peace. And that's what Superman actually becomes. Remember, if you watch the Avengers series, Superman even goes to a court of law. He's handcuffed. And this is a strong guy who can break those chains. But he allows himself to be nice and go to court. And he still has, he's actually wearing his costume. That's a nice guy. An alpha wouldn't do that. So what guys need to know, when you talk about being alpha, you cannot be, it's not about whether being alpha is good or bad. It's about understanding what an alpha is. What alphas normally get is paternity. That's number one. And remember, in the Bible, for example, the son of God, we are told, was born by the Virgin Mary. Yes. So alphas prioritize paternity. They want to spread their seeds. That is number one. Alphas are also dominant. It means if he has enemies, he crushes them. Alphas don't negotiate with their enemies. They don't placate to them. Alphas also, in the same vein, also don't bend their knees to women. Okay? That is also what being an alpha is. And an alpha, because he lives life on his own terms, he's going to run against sometimes morality, against the law, against government, and so on. But the things that we encourage men to copy from alphas are about putting yourself first, and also about dominating and winning. Because most men, they give up. If you're giving up, you are being better. Like, for example, you're fired from work, and then you get depressed, and now you're getting drunk, and you want to commit suicide. That's a beta male behavior. An alpha will rise up from that. He'll take it as a challenge and show the guys who fired him that he can also be dominant. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you, what is the difference between being an alpha and just being toxic? Because most of the traits that you're pointing out about an alpha man would actually be defined as toxic. So what is the difference? Where is that line between being an alpha man and just being a toxic man who just runs through everything, no conscience, no sensitivity, no nothing? Where do you draw the line between being an alpha and just being a toxic man who has no control either for himself and also sensitivity for others?
Actually, when I look at it, most toxic men are men who behave like women. Because a man who is in his full masculine cannot be said to be toxic. Okay. Men are logical. That is number one. Men are logical in the sense that their interpretive framework, for example, it prioritizes reason over emotion. But a man who is toxic is someone who is going to prioritize his emotion. So he's a man who is behaving like a woman in the sense that, for example, he's going to start to be manipulative. This is a man who, for example, if he feels challenged by you, he's going to use some backdoor tactics to get back at you instead of confronting you. If he feels offended, he should be able to tell you up front that you did this and I did not like it. That is what men do. But a man who is toxic, for example, when he feels you wronged him, he's going to start spreading rumors about you. Okay? Maybe he'll say that you are a thief, or your girlfriend left you, or your parents are this or that, or the car that you're driving does not belong to you. That is toxic behavior. It deals with things in a backdoor behavior.
Manipulation.
Yeah, manipulation, emotional, and most of the time,
Blackmail.
yeah, toxic behavior is petty. It's petty. It doesn't look at the big picture. An alpha, for example, can ignore you. An alpha knows how to spend his time. Okay? An alpha is someone who can decide, for example, to ignore you even when you're insulting him, because he prioritizes what is important. When it is important to crush you, he's going to crush you. But when he has something that is much more important, he's only going to spend time entertaining you. So that is the difference. And also, when you're talking about toxic men, most times this is a terminology that it is women who have invented, because men themselves don't describe each other as toxic. Men deal with issues. Like if you told someone something that is not true about me, I'm going to tell you, did you tell this guy this? This is not, why are you doing this, and so on. But a woman will instead characterize, they label you as toxic, because it's part of what we call the sign language. And the sign language involves shaming. Characterizing someone as toxic is a way of shaming, and it's a way of dismissing someone. Because if someone calls you toxic, it means if there's any output from you, if you've said anything, then it actually does not need to be taken seriously, because it's coming from a toxic source. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a difference. So it's actually the better men who are toxic.
Yeah, beta males generally tend to be, but beta males also are not toxic, because they tend to be compliant. They're afraid. They don't want to upset. They don't want to go against the grain. They want to comply to their women. So they also don't tend to be toxic. They tend to be docile. Okay. Beta males are very docile, and they're not toxic. Yeah.
So let me ask you, then who is a proper man? Who is a proper man? Is it a beta? Is it an alpha? Is it a blend of the two? Who is a good man?
A man, I think the most important thing for a man is a man needs to put himself first.
Okay.
He needs to put himself first. Whatever that means, every man is going to decide what it means. When you put yourself first, of course you'll be called toxic by some people, because people want you to serve their own agendas. That is how life is. Your pastor will want you to give the tithe, he'll want you to go to church, he wants to go to Kesha, and so on. Your wife will want you to do certain things. Maybe your wife wants you to go and live in Kilimani, and you know you cannot afford it. Your wife will want you to go and attend some birthday party that does not make any sense to you, when you could be actually be chasing some success elsewhere. So as a man, you need to just put yourself first. In general, when you put yourself first, you will end up being a successful person in life. And when you're a successful person, people will gravitate towards you, including the people who are calling you toxic. You look at Elon Musk. Look at what he did on Twitter when he bought Twitter. He fired people. He set up this thing, right? Because these guys were playing around. And he basically read the Riot Act. And that is what a man is supposed to do. You make your company profitable through that. If you are a nice person, you are going to entertain all these funny people who are not doing much in the organization, just because you don't want to upset them. So me, what I can say is that a man needs to prioritize himself first. Make yourself your mental point of origin, and let the chips fall where they will. You're not supposed to be afraid. And that is one of the things that I mentioned earlier about being parented or raised by a woman. You come up with a lot of fear. And a man who is fearful, he needs validation. So if people are not approving what he's doing, he lacks the courage or the conviction to actually implement them. And such men actually don't take risks, and they end up actually doing nothing. Yeah. Okay.
There's something that you also mentioned about the alpha man, and you're saying that the alpha man cares more about propagation of the seed. Yes. And you're saying an alpha man would actually, without guilt, maybe get a woman pregnant and just disappear and continue with his life wherever he goes, or maybe just even goes to a next one, gets her pregnant, and moves on it. So what is the difference between? Because are you trying to say that alpha men are not responsible men?
No, you can have alpha men who are responsible, but like for example, you have you see, by the way, most men when you have children. Those children, and as an alpha now, you recognize those children as your seed. They are your genetic material. An alpha will want to raise those children. Okay? So, what normally happens is, alphas actually raise their children. The problem normally happens that most alphas are also desirous to other women, not just this woman who has their child. So what normally happens is in the course of time, and think about Tiger Woods, think about Michael Jordan, think about Muhammad Ali, think about even Mike Tyson and King Solomon and Genghis Khan and so on. Most alphas will have access to other women, not just one woman. So what happens is that in the course of time, he spreads the seeds across. So if this woman who wanted a monogamy arrangement or an exclusive arrangement with him is very upset that this guy has other women, this alpha will tend to leave his offspring. That's what we call offspring abandonment. But if you have a situation like King Solomon, who had several wives and concubines, the alpha has no problem. He's not going to leave his wives, his children. But if you have a situation where the woman is so upset that there are other women in this alpha's life, most alphas have no problem walking away. So that is what happens. It doesn't mean alphas don't value their children. They do. But if this woman becomes unmanageable because he has other women, he's going to walk away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an issue of the women, not the man.
Yes, it's an issue of the women. If the women have no problem with this alpha also entertaining other women, they actually marry and they have several women.
All right. Yeah. Being alpha or beta, I believe, is an individual mindset. Could it be so? That's a question from the comment section. Being alpha or beta, I believe it's an individual mindset.
It's purely individual, and it's a psychological thing. We normally say that alpha is not a demographic. Alpha is it's software. You can actually be someone, for example, who is very muscular and big and very strong, but you're still a beta male. So it's something that is software. It's about how you see yourself. It's about how you see your interactions with others. It's about how you prioritize yourself. It's about how you listen to your own self. That is what being an alpha is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. From Mukumbo through to be who women can never mentor men. But good evening. Following closely on Jogo Road Asante, dominating and ruling. Once again, isn't it a mindset being alpha or better? I think we've actually spoken on that. Cheche, yes, my brother, enlighten our men. Asante sana. Hassan, good to see you. Hilary Motai as well. Good to see you. Now, we had defined earlier the nice man. But I think what we didn't really get deep into is why we defined, and we actually got a little bit in the story of Jordan, B. Jordan, but why exactly do nice men finish last? And yes. How do you balance between, I struggle with this thing, like there's a balance.
Let me give you the answer. I already mentioned earlier that women want a man who is a challenge. They want a man who says no to them. A nice guy always says yes. When you say yes, she feels you're weak. And women don't like being with weak men. They want men who have a backbone, a man who can tell her, no, we are not going to do that. So that is number one. When you are very compliant to a woman, she sees that as low value from you. Because a man who values a woman more than the woman values him, they feel that man is not high value, and so her desire reduces. The second thing is that women want a man who is a catch, and a man who is a catch is a man who is attractive to other women. What normally happens with nice guys is that they don't entertain the possibility of any other women in their lives. And when a woman actually feels that you, the only person who wants you is her, then you lack what we call preselection. Preselection is very important, and it's one reason why many women who are mature will want a married man as opposed to a single man. You'll find situations like when you go to a club, there are many cases where when women know that a guy is married, they will tend to go towards a married guy as opposed to a single guy, because the married guy has been preselected. When you're preselected, it means another woman has actually vetted you and invested in you. Okay? So that's another thing. Most nice guys feel that when you show this woman that when you're committing yourself to only this woman, then she's going to appreciate you. But it actually is going to question your value, that how come nobody else is interested in you? So nice guys don't understand that. Most alphas actually understand that. And the way you show that is by prioritizing either your time or your, what you call your purpose. And when you do that, then this woman is going to be able to know that she is not the one that is most valuable in your life, because women want a man actually who is a catch. She wants to feel that she got you, not that you're always available there. And that's why you find there are cases where some men are told, sometimes you need to leave. Don't always be there available all the time, because women get bored. Sometimes you need to disappear so that she can also call you and ask you, where have you gone? Who are you with? And so on. That makes her feel that she has a man who also has a life and who also has things that are valuable that he can actually spend his time on and give his attention to, not only her. Because if she feels that you are the highest, she's the highest priority in your life, then she feels probably that she did not get the right man. So that's another reason why nice guys sometimes are not able to maintain the attachment with women.
So there's something in the story of B. Jordans, and it's about the woman that he is putting up with. And there's all this woman who has an history that is well known. I mean, he knows very well that this is what this woman has been up to. This is what she has been doing. This is the kind of person that she is. And that is exactly what she takes him through.
Yes.
So what keeps such men in such situations?
It's a very good question, actually.
What keeps such men in such situations?
You see, that's the other thing I need to tell guys. One thing men need to know. The woman only cares about your future. You're supposed to care about her past. Michael B. Jordan, being a nice guy, he ignored the past of this woman. You cannot ignore a woman's past, because the best way of predicting the future is by looking at the past. Women, what normally happens is that when a woman sleeps around with many men, and that's what we call the notch count, a number of these men imprint on her. And they imprint on her both through sexual acts and just through the psychological impact. For example, if you look at Will Smith's wife and Tupac Shakur, Jada Pinkett Smith has never been able to get over Will Smith. Even, over Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
The guy died decades ago, but she still talks about him. She still thinks about him. She still, so much so that even one of their children wrote a letter to Tupac Shakur telling him to come back. So you can imagine how serious it is. So one of the things nice guys do, nice guys think that they're special. They ignore a woman's past. They think that you can get a prostitute, for example, and just love her until she becomes committed to you. What normally happens with women is that when they sleep around with many men, most women, before a woman sleeps with you, she vets you. All women have a checklist. Maybe you need to be of a certain height, you need to have a certain level of income, you need to talk a certain way, you need to have a certain education level. So when at the time you're sleeping with her, the attraction that she has towards you is actually gone. You've been vetted in a way. So with every relationship that fails, a woman actually suffers some sort of trauma. And remember, with every sexual intercourse, oxytocin is released, the bonding hormone. So every breakup is a form of trauma for a woman. If a woman has had so many relationships in her past, her pair bonding ability is compromised. So for example, someone like Michael B. Jordan, he ignored Lori Harvey's crazy past, thinking that he could actually be different from other men and be able to bond with this woman and create a long-term relationship with her. And it failed. So that's the other thing about nice guys. They think they're special and they ignore women's poor choices. You need to be able to hold a woman accountable. If this woman, for example, has had 10 guys or 50 guys, you cannot ignore that. That's a sign of a problem. Most nice guys are told by a woman, I've never met someone like you. I have a soft spot for you, or I love you. And most nice guys think that's a big deal, and they'll ignore this woman's past. So that's another thing actually that most nice guys, it's a feature of most nice guys, they tend to ignore a woman's past. But most of the reason also is because they pedestalize women. They think that being able to get a woman or a certain kind of a woman is such a big thing that you can afford to ignore her past. They feel lucky. And that's because it's because of what we call blue pill conditioning. They're taught that women are these nice, very precious creatures that are wonderful and so on. But an alpha knows that a woman moves in a certain way. And if a woman has had certain interactions with men, it says something about her. And so alphas don't entertain them. Yeah.
But let me ask you, when people don't change, they usually say every sinner or every saint was once a sinner. Do you mean that women cannot change? Women cannot change their ways and just become a nice woman, even after all those crazy things.
That's a very good question. Everyone can change. Now, if you go by that, why is it that when you're looking for a job, they want a certificate of good conduct? If you have a criminal past, for
reference
example,
letter.
Yeah, reference letters. If you have a criminal past, there's so many people who are not going to employ you. Can you employ someone who is a thief to take care of your money? You cannot do that. So as much as women change, as much as human beings can change, the best predictor of the future is the past. That's why you need to we look at someone's CV. You need to look at his resume. Where has he gone? Why did he move from this job to that job? It tells you something about themselves. So people need to realize that. And I've seen many men fall for it, telling, I've changed. People in general don't change. And that's why we have so many men who undergo very serious character development. There are men who have actually met women in church. Because most women, remember we talked about the party years in their 20s when they sleep with so many men. They do this in their 20s, maybe they get a child. In their 30s, they continue. They realize they're just being used by men. Then they decide, okay, now I'm getting saved. Let me commit my life to Jesus Christ. This woman goes to church. She has this. Yes, that's anasema actually secondary virginity. In fact, now she says she's not going to sleep with any man until he puts a ring on it. You see, and many men meet these women in the choir. And that's one. Someone I think asked about the church and so on. And this is part of the mentoring. This guy meets this woman. They get close. They fall in love. And what normally happens is that if this woman has had all this crazy past in her 20s and 30s, you find she cannot pair with you. Maybe one of these guys in the 20s had a very strong personality, and you are a soft, nice guy. She's not going to respect you. You're not going to be able to arouse her. And it really compromises the ability of these women to pair bond. So that's why you need to take the past of a woman very seriously. This idea that people can change actually is nonsense.
Okay. Yeah. Is that not the same with men? Would we not tell women then that that's the same pedigree, the same rules, the same yardstick that they should also use on men?
I like how you're moving. Most people, and particularly women, this is the same question they will ask. Women are different from men. What matters in a man is not his past, it is his future. The reason a woman marries a man is for security and provisioning. So what women normally gauge is a man's ability to provide. Okay? And what normally happens with a man is that in many cases, that's why we talk about the wall. Women can hit a wall, but a man cannot hit a wall. You see, because a man is a success object, but a woman is a beauty object. Success is something that a man can actually start pursuing at any time. And you can be able to see, because you can see how a man is moving, what time he wakes up, how hard he works, how focused he is. The results of a man's work actually shows. What does he have in his bank account? Is he able to take care of certain bills? So a woman is able to gauge all these things. If a man, for example, was a very poor man in the past, and now he's rich, his past does not matter. What matters is where he is now and his future. But a woman, her past matters a lot, because her past determines her pair bonding ability, it determines her loyalty and so on. What a woman wants from a man is someone who can secure her own survival. Okay? So you'll find even if a man has had several women in the past, it matters how he was interacting with them. Like, was he taking care of his responsibilities? If he's an irresponsible man, then you'll be able to know. But most women, what they want from a man is parental investment and provisioning. And that is something you can judge from the current, and then you can tell in the future. Like, when a woman meets a man and she tells her friends that, oh, I've met a guy, I love him, what? The first question they'll ask him, what does he do? They would ask him, is he good looking? But you see, with men, when a man tells his friends that I've met this chick, they don't say, what does she look like? Do you have a photo? You see? So that's the difference. Women are beauty objects, men are success objects. So what a man does, like, you see, if a woman tells her friends, I've met this guy, I'm in love, oh, this guy is so wonderful, and then they ask her, what does he do? And then she says, he's a sandwich artist. They're going to say, what? sandwich artist. Does that bring any kind of money? Even her parents. If a girl goes home and tells the parents that I've met a man, they'll ask him, what does he do for a living? So that's the difference. People need to get it very, 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 very straight. That a man's future is what is important. A woman's past is what is important. Because a woman preserves her beauty. A man creates his future and he becomes valuable. That's the difference.
So do you mean that the notch counts of a man doesn't count?
The notch counts of a man don't count.
And all that. So how will a man who has had a myriad of a long trail of notch counts be able to bond with a woman? Doesn't it mean that he just continue the same a bit?
I think, the way men and women respond to sex is very different. For example, in both cases, there is dopamine released, but women release more oxytocin than men. It means that during the act of sex, women bond with their sexual partners more than men do. And that's why you can find a man who is married. Maybe he has a quarrel with his wife, and he goes to some strip club somewhere, and maybe he gets a hookah and he has sex in a hotel room, and he goes back home. If this guy is surprised, and you grab him and you strip him on a chair and you snap on a lie detector on him and you ask him, do you love your wife? He's going to say yes, because he does. But women, and that's why I told you earlier, before a woman actually has sex with you, she actually vets you. That means to some level, she actually has to love you before she can actually have sex with you. It's not the same thing with a man. And that's why you find that men who are able to keep women in polygamous union and be able to provide and treat them very well, he's going to be able to do that. That's how the nature of a man is. Remember, a man's biological imperative is to spread his seeds. And when you spread your seeds, it doesn't require that you spread them only to one particular womb. So long as the seeds are being spread, the man is meeting his biological imperative and is going to function very well. But a woman, because she only has that one womb, she needs a man who is going to be able to be there to provide for her and to be able to provide parental investment. That's why even you'll find that women can have men who are catering to them and to other women, and they are relatively happy. They don't have any problem. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It is, it's 18 minutes past 9 p.m., 18 minutes past 9 p.m. This is Men Only. Comes to you every single Sunday. Comes live to you every single Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Usually with Jacob Alieth, the hotel. Unplugged, and remember that you can get your copy of the Unplugged by contacting him directly or inboxing him on his socials. And usually you can make your order of the Unplugged and get to unplug also as a man and a woman. It helps both ways. If you're a woman also and you want to gift a man, you can gift a man Unplugged and he'll be happy and be very grateful to you. Also, Silas Nyanchwani has not been able to make it up this evening, but he's definitely with us, and I'm sure he's watching us wherever he is. And remember, you can also get his books, Exercised, Man About Town, 50 Memos to Men. Yes, you can get those things and have a conversation. Very soon, you're also coming to a town near you. You're coming to a town hall near you to have a conversation with you. So if you're a man, promise that you will show up to Kikuja. You'll show up. And also, if you're a woman and you're raising a son, or you're mentoring a son, you can come and get to listen to what we're also talking about. But what you are saying is we're not going to leave any man behind. You're leaving no boy behind. You're leaving no man behind. You must ensure that all the men are going to move with us in one direction. I think we should be ending to our tail end. Jacob?
Yes. So the other thing I wanted to mention, women want men that other men want to be, and other women want to bang. That is what makes a man desirous to a woman. Most nice guys are actually not people who are dominant in the society and in their fields. They're not guys who are winning big, because they are very busy trying to avoid to offend others. So most nice guys are average people. And nice guys also don't realize that women want a man they can submit to. Women will tell you, for example, that, submission is like slavery, and that they'll tell you that, this is not Stone Age, you can have equal partnerships and so on. Most nice guys buy this. And what they'll do is that they'll actually get a woman who is not willing to submit to them, and they'll pursue them. What normally happens with such women is when they actually now find a real man, they will completely lose attraction for the nice guy. And because they also don't respect them. So nice guys don't understand that a man's place in the society, this is a man, is a person who is supposed to conquer. He's supposed to, is supposed to be dominant. He's supposed to win. He's supposed to be able to take care of his woman and provide leadership to him. That is the kind of a man that is attractive to a woman. Most nice guys don't realize that. They think that the way to get a woman is by saying yes to them, being very compliant and supplicating to them, pedestalizing them, and calling them nice things all the time. But like I said earlier, women get bored very, very quickly. So I hope guys have understood that, and that they need to have confidence. Women like men who are confident. A man who is confident is self-assured. He is a man who has... and confidence also comes with experience. If you've not faced any challenges and solved any problems, you're not going to be confident. And this goes back to what we are talking about, being parented by a woman. The woman will cuddle you and shield you from problems. Your father or a man is going to expose you to problems. When you're exposed to problems and you're challenged, then you learn to solve those problems. When you solve those problems, your confidence is built, and you realize that you are actually self-sufficient. So what normally happens with like the parenting of a woman, the boy is so shielded that he doubts himself. He doesn't realize, because the mother also is not aware that this boy is able to take care of himself. She ends up transferring her own fears to him. And so this boy or young man grows up not aware of his own strengths or his own capabilities. He lacks confidence. And these are the kind of men who are now nice. They end up being nice in their relationships. And as we've noted earlier, nice people are actually a turn-off to women. They want excitement. They want men who can challenge them. They want men who they can feel secure under. And a man who you can make you feel secure under is a man who is confident. He's not a man who is going to show you that he's so unsure of himself that he cannot make any decision without consulting you. Women want men that they can feel safe to follow their leadership.
Yeah. Okay. All right. In other news, Man U. Man U anapigwa kama ngoma ya haleluya. Man U mahali mko poleni sana watu wa Man U. Liverpool is showing Man U that thing. Anyway, it will be really a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Jacob, for coming in as usual. And I think we have a consensus on who can mentor men, who can mentor young men. And you also have a consensus on why nice men finish last.
Yes, finish last.
Why nice men finished last. And also, do you think there's some level of trauma or some level of, how would I even put it? Do you think there's a gap that nice men struggle with? Because for you to put up with such levels of disrespect from a woman and all that, do you think there are things that they struggle with in terms of psychologically, emotionally? Is there something that misses? Is there a part that misses?
Actually,
is there a jigsaw that misses?
The people who suffer the most are nice guys, because the psychology behind being nice is the assumption that if you do good to someone, they'll also do good right back to you. So a nice guy, for example, he thinks that if he says nice to his girlfriend all the time, the girlfriend will also tell him nice. But women don't do that. Women, I think you've seen cases where a woman is, for example, her parents, they need a house back in the village. And the nice guy takes a loan, and he builds this woman's parents a house in the village. And he starts struggling to pay this loan. When the shit hits the fan, and now he's not able to pay school fees or take care of the rent, the woman will tell you, I didn't ask you to take that loan. You are the one who decided to actually take it. So nice guys really have it rough. But one thing that makes men nice, part of this is what they've learned from Hollywood and from popular media, because women like saying, I like a nice guy, I want a guy who is nice to me, and so on. And so these guys think that the way to access sex or to get a woman is by saying yes to her and being very compliant to her needs. But what instead happens is that this woman is going to, most times nice guys, they put on the friend zone. Okay? They'll put you on the friend zone because she can still exploit you. So for example, she'll go for, we call them foodies. She'll come for a date just to have a free meal. You'll pay for the free meal, but she's going to have sex with somebody else. So nice guys really have it rough. Because this guy is so nice, he's not able to challenge this woman and tell her, by the way, if you don't feel attracted to me, I think this is the last date you are going to have. This guy is so nice, he is afraid of upsetting her. So because he's nice, he cannot put himself first, he cannot fight for himself. He is going to be exploited. Even in normal settings, okay? You can go to a club, guys are having drinks, and many guys who are not respectable, if they know you are a nice guy, they'll make you pay the bill. They'll just pretend they're busy on their phone, or they go to the loo and the bill comes and you pay it. And you'll keep doing that until you say no. So nice guys are actually exploited. They are treated like foot rags. Because if you are a nice person also, you can find a woman who, she's going to disrespect you. Maybe she's been upset by somebody else, but she will let it out on you by being rude, shouting at you, and so on. So nice guys are treated like doormats. They finish last in the sense that we normally say they finish last or finish in the shower. So this girl is not going to have sex with you. She's going to have sex with another man. The man who is confident, the man who can tell her, by the way, today you come to my room or this thing is over. That's the man that she's going to go to. But this nice guy is even afraid of asking her for a kiss. So women don't like men like that. They don't feel like they have a catch. A woman wants a man who she feels that if she does not get him, another woman will get him. But a nice guy is always there. Like you will tell him, this week I'm busy, I'm going to call you next week. He's going to wait for your call next week. He'll even text you, you've not called me, when are you going to call me? A guy who knows what time it is going to even block you if you don't call him. So that is what nice guys realize. Being nice is the worst thing a man can do. It's better actually to be a bad person than to be a nice guy. Yeah.
All right, interesting. Simon Kabiru, well of wisdom here. How I wish I had access to this information earlier in our lives. Men in their 20s, listen to this guy and change the trajectory of your lives. Wow, okay. Jacob Aliet is putting things into perspective. All men should converge here for nuggets. All right. Collins, all right. Okay, that is it. I want to remind you that tomorrow again, Kesho, tupatane on the tackle. The tackle begins, of course, 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. And tomorrow we're having Santonomy 101. We're talking about finances and how to build your wealth creation. And tomorrow we'll be having Michael Thotho, who is a financial consultant and programs manager at Santonomy Limited. So we're having a conversation tomorrow around your money. On the Common Sense edition, we talk about life and money. So I have to talk to you men today about your character and your frame. Kesho tunapata mapema ndio best. Tunazungumzia mambo ya finances, how to ensure that you can secure your finances and also build your wealth, or ensure that you can secure your future. The biggest tragedy of men is how they end up. Actually, a lot of men end up in a very bad way. A lot of men retire very desperate and tired. A lot of men die poor. A lot of men die with depression and all that. So even as we have this conversation around your frame, one of the most important things as a man is to understand your ending and to plan for your ending. So I'll see you tomorrow on the tackle, the Common Sense edition, life and money. And we're here to talk about your wealth creation and how you're going to ensure that you can secure your future. And also as a business person, you do a mambo namna gani. Moses says, and it's better to be ruthless than a nice guy. Okay. All right, this has been Men Only, and I've been with Jacob Aliet. Come see you every single Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I'm with you. I'm your host, Gerald Bitok. Until tomorrow on The Tackle. Bye-bye and see you. We love you. Take care.